Good morning, grade 5 girls. How are you today? Let us complete our lesson 3. What are the inner planets? What are the inner planets? Lesson objectives: to identify the inner planets and Earth position in the solar system. Students will also communicate how technology has helped people to explore space. Now, did you remember last week we start with the inner planets, and I told you that there are four planets. There are four inner planets, and four outer planets. We will take it after we finish this lesson. So, in the solar system, we have 8 planets. Now, the four inner planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Let's start with Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It is a small planet slightly bigger than Earth Moon. It's slightly bigger than Earth Moon. Mercury is covered, if you see here in this picture, Mercury is covered with thousands of low spots called craters. It's like the surface of the moon covered with craters, has craters. Now, craters are made when meteorites or rocks that fall from space crash into the surface of the Mercury. So rocks or meteorites crash into the surface of Mercury. Mercury has almost no atmosphere. Because it is so close to the sun, Mercury is hot during the day, but with no atmosphere to hold in the heat, Mercury is very cold at night, and Mercury temperature can go between minus 173 Celsius degree at night and during day 427 Celsius degree. Now, look at the picture here. What did you see here at the picture? This is, we call it space probe. But why it's important? The Mariner 10 was the first spacecraft to visit Mercury. So, the Mariner 10 was the first spacecraft to visit Mercury. Scientists sent the Marine 10 space probe in 1973 and it reached the planet in 1974. Now, a space probe is, what is it, a space probe? You see here the picture? Is a spacecraft. So what is it? It is a spacecraft that gathers data without a crew. There is no crew here. It carries cameras. It carries cameras to take pictures and other tools for studying different objects in space. So it carries cameras and other tools for studying different objects in space. As I told you here, Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It's small, slightly bigger than Earth Moon. Mercury is covered with thousands of low spots called craters. Craters are made when meteorites or rocks that fall from space crash into the surface. What is the meaning of a space probe? is spacecraft that gathers data without a crew, and it carries camera and other tools for studying different objects in space. Now, the Mercury has almost no atmosphere because it is so close to the sun. Mercury is scorching hot during the day, and daytime are much higher than those in the hottest place on Earth. But with no atmosphere to hold the heat, Mercury is very cold at night. What come after Mercury? I told you Venus. Okay? Now let's answer question number 3 here. How might Mercury be different if it had thicker atmosphere? Here it's without an atmosphere, okay, to protect it. Now, it would not be as cold at night. It would not be as cold at night. Now, here, Earth. This is Earth, okay? And we study about Mercury. This is Venus, and this is Earth. We will start with Venus. Venus is the second planet from the Sun. So, what is it, the second planet from the Sun? Venus. Excellent. It's about the same size as Earth. It's about the same size as Earth. But Venus rotates in opposite directions. You see here the Earth rotated from west to east. But look at the Venus here, rotate in opposite direction. Like Mercury, Venus is very hot and dry. Like Mercury, Venus is very hot and dry. Unlike Mercury, Venus has an atmosphere made of thick swirling clouds. It's made of thick swirling clouds. There are strong winds and lightning. There are strong wind and lightning. Why does Venus, one of the brightest objects in Earth's sky? The clouds of Venus are very hot and toxic. Venus' atmosphere is more made, this is for you, this information, is made of almost entirely of carbon dioxide. The clouds we see on Venus are made of sulfur dioxide and drops of sulfuric acid. Now, they reflect the sunlight very well. They reflect the sunlight very well. So the clouds also hide the surface of Venus, but scientists have mapped the surface in spite of the clouds. Okay, Venus is the second planet from the Sun. It is about the same as Earth, but Venus rotates in the opposite direction like Mercury. Venus is very hot and dry, unlike Mercury. Now I'll show you a video about Venus. Venus has an atmosphere made of thick, swirling clouds. There are strong winds and lightning. The clouds of Venus are very hot and toxic. So, the clouds of Venus are very hot and toxic. They reflect the sunlight very well. The clouds also hide the surface of Venus, but scientists have mapped the surface in spite of the clouds. This image shows what Venus would look like without the clouds. Now, who can read for us question number 4? Cause and effect. What make Venus so bright? What make Venus so bright? It clouds reflect the sun's light well. It clouds reflect the sunlight well. Now I will show you here the video about Venus. Focus. This is Venus.
Venus, a virtual double of Earth in size and mass, orbiting just sunward of us, is wrapped in swirling cloud cover. But Venus, like many a goddess, is best appreciated at a distance. Up close, Venus is a nightmare.
We don't entirely understand yet why Venus and the Earth sort of diverged in their evolution. Venus seems to have lost its water and cooked up the atmosphere into this runaway greenhouse state dominated by carbon dioxide, and we wound up with this kind of hothouse effect.
The atmosphere that you would feel on your shoulders is about 90 times greater than the atmosphere that weighs us down here on the surface of the Earth.
Heat, pressure, and a strange geologic history left a very odd
Also,
surface
it's a
on
very
planet
hot
Venus, revealed here
planet.
in radar images taken by the Magellan spacecraft.
This is Venus, and the surface of Venus has many volcanoes. They are not active,
The surface
at least
of
we have not been able to detect
Venus
any
has
activity.
many volcanoes.
Not much was known about Venus and its surface before the Magellan mission went there in the early 90s.
This is the space
Magellan
probe.
found many volcanic features, including some rather peculiar
These are the
structures that
volcanoes
we call
features.
coronas, and some very long lava flows, the longest seen in the solar system.
Venus is geologically active, or at least it has been much more recently than planets like Mercury or our own moon.
Venus has had a lot of activity that erased craters in the past, but what we noticed about this crater population on Venus was that almost all of the craters were in very good condition. They were pristine. We didn't see a lot that were half buried by volcanoes or were riddled with faults. So what we think happened on Venus was it went through an active period until about 1 billion years ago, and that was followed by a quiet period, which the planet is still in, when it started reaccumulating these impacts.
As you can see, both here on the globe and in the image behind me, volcanism is a very important geologic process on the surface of this planet.
Venus has its own style of tectonic resurfacing. On the Earth, the plates form, they drift over the surface of the Earth, cool and subduct. In the case of Venus, it looks like what happens is the planet erupts in a great eruption of salt and volcanic activity, and then shuts down for maybe a few 100 million years, maybe a billion years, and then probably re-erupts in a great spate of activity. So Venus is doing its cooling in time rather than in space, the way Earth does.
And compared to Earth, Venus rotates backwards.
So if you
Venus's
see
retrograde
Venus
rotation
rotate
probably as a
backwards
result of a large
comparing
impact.
to
Probably
Earth.
after a giant impact, it would have been spinning with a day, maybe 10, 20 hours long. Venus has been slowed down by solar tides, and it currently rotates very, very slowly.
rotates very, very slowly.
with its crushing atmosphere, searing heat, titanic volcanoes, and massive impact history, Venus is nothing short of a living hell.
Thank you, my dear students, and we will complete our lesson tomorrow, inshallah.